I sold the Tesla for 76 grand, bought a new roof for the town school, and turned into an overnight internet sensation all because Lisa parked it in my barn without permission. Let me rewind a bit to the part where she claimed a meditation retreat gave her the legal right to use my loft as a Tesla garage. That's when I realized I was either having a stroke or staring down a lawsuit in the making. It all kicked off on a soggy Tuesday morning in late September, the kind of day where the clouds drape over the fields like wet rags. I stepped outside to check the barn and spotted something odd. Not a raccoon, not a misplaced tractor, but a sleek, silver Tesla humming faintly with that self-righteous vibe of a machine that silently judges your music taste. It sat dead center in my barn like it owned the place. It was locked, lights flashing, hay strewn around its tires as if it had settled in for a cozy stay. At first, I wondered if my 17-year-old daughter, Sarah, had roped a friend into pulling a stunt, or maybe it was one of those quirky new neighbors from the Sid hippie types with chickens and wind chimes. Then I saw the note or lack thereof. Just a scrap of paper under the wiper that read, "Do not tow. Emergency parking." Back in 3 days. I stood there, blinking, trying to wrap my head around it. Emergency parking? In my barn? The one I own, where my tractor was now trapped. This wasn't a rest stop or even a driveway. It was trespassing with a side of audacity. I trudged back to the house, poured a coffee, and stared out the window like I'd stumbled into a low-budget comedy. Then Lisa showed up. You know those people who don't just enter a space but conquer it? She rolled up in a second Cara BMW, naturally wearing leggings, oversized sunglasses, and an air of smug serenity. She strolled onto my porch like she was about to pitch me a pyramid scheme. "Oh, hi there," she chirped, as if we were buddies or I'd been babysitting her packages. "Care to explain the spaceship in my barn?" I asked, still half convinced said I was dreaming. "Oh, that," she said with a giggle, like she'd misplaced her purse. "I'm on a weekend mindfulness retreat up in the hills and didn't want to leave it in town to many thefts. Your place felt secure." I opened my mouth, words failing me like a fish flopping on dry land. She parked in my barn because it felt secure? Like I was running a rural car sitting service? "Ma'am," I said, keeping my tone level, "you've parked on my property, blocking my hay. That's not just Rudy, it's illegal." She flashed a smile like I was a toddler missing the big picture. "Well, technically," she leaned in conspiratorially, "North Carolina property codes allow temporary displacement for 72 hours in unzoned emergency zones." I looked it up. I checked later that law is pure fiction. I told her to move it. She told me to chill. I threatened to call the sheriff. She claimed she'd already cleared it with Sheriff Diane, who got it. My blood pressure nearly choked me. So I dialed Diane, our sheriff who usually only steps in for riverbank beer runs or when Mr. Thompson locks himself out again. Sure enough, she rolled up 10 minutes later, sipping iced tea, listening to Lisa spin her tale of sacred barn parking rights. "I mean," Lisa said, hand on heart like she was about to pledge allegiance, "what's the fuss? It's just a barn. He's not even using it. Not using it. As if my tractor, feed, and tools were decorative." Diane, bless her, stayed neutral, said she couldn't force Lisa to move it without damage or danger, gave her 48 hours, and told me to relax with a book or something. That night, I sat on the porch with Sarah, who was munching a gas station taco like it was fine dining. She piped up, "What if we treat it like an ICE abandoned property?" "There's a process," I grumbled. "Notices, legal steps." "So do it," she said. Imagine the TikTok. Next morning, I printed every form I could find, taped North Carolina's abandoned vehicle laws to the barn door, and added a hand-painted sign. "This Tesla is now considered abandoned. Owner has 72 hours to claim or it will be sold." I chained the doors, triple-locked them, and waited. Lisa stormed back the next afternoon, charging across the field like a scorned queen. "You locked my car in a barn? Are you crazy?" "No, ma'am," I said, while VYing the paperwork. "I'm lawful more than you can say. You'll regret this," she spat. "I have over 1,000 Instagram followers. I'll ruin you." I grinned. "My goats have more followers." She left in a huff. Sarah filmed it all, posted it as "My dad just legally locked a Tesla in a barn," and it hit 500,000 views by dusk. As night fell, with the barn glowing under a full moon and the Tesla humming inside like a pissed-off robot, I realized this wasn't just about a carrot, was war. By the time the TikTok hit 1 million views, my phone was blowing up. My cousin Jake in Texas asked if I was really selling a Tesla. My neighbor Clara, who hadn't left her rocking chair in months, offered peach pie for a test drive. The town buzzed like I'd struck gold. For me, it was personal. Lisa had waltzed onto my land, parked like it was a VIP slot, and expected me to shrug. Now she'd learned rural folks don't bow to city slickers with fancy yoga mats and entitlement. North Carolina's abandoned vehicle laws are clear. If a car's left without permission, intent to return, or legal basis, it's fair game after notice and a waiting period. I followed the rules like a grudge-fueled robot. Posted a bigger notice on a red board, added a countdown timer Sarah rigged on her phone. Time left to claim your Tesla, 36 hours. I plopped a lawn chair out front, sipped coffee, and waited. Lisa returned with Bakupa guy named Greg in a cheap suit and mismatched socks, stepping out of her BMW with a folder and a briefcase that screamed, "Thrift store find." "This is my legal rep," she announced, like he was famous. Greg shook my hand like he'd Googled lawyer on the way over, handed me a FedEx-printed cease and desist. "For what?" I asked. "Unlawful detainment of private property," he said, tugging his sleeves. "You mean the property parked in my barn without consent?" He faltered. Lisa cut in. "This is harassment. You've humiliated me online. People are calling me Tesla Lisa." "You parked in someone's barn," I said. "You're lucky I didn't fill it with wasps." Greg blinked. "That's not legal either." I shrugged. "Neither's pretending to be a lawyer when your LinkedIn says insurance salesman." Sarah, filming behind me, laughed so hard she dropped her soda. Lisa turned beet red and stormed off. I thought it might end there, but Lisa couldn't let it go. Next morning, a local news crew arrived, hooked by the TikTok, asking to film the Tesla hostage crisis. We let them show the barn, the notice, the law. Sarah dropped a soundbite about property rights and VY justice. By night, half the country saw me as a folk hero battling tech elitists. DMs flooded in ad VYC requests, a DULA $50,000 offer for the Tesla, a trade for a boat and hot tub. My buddy Mike, the town's battery geek, begged to borrow it with jumper cables and puppy dog eyes. "No joyrides," I said. "Just a spin." "No." The countdown hit 12 hours. Lisa and Greg vanished. I filed final paperwork with the county clerk, Marhea cat sweater-wearing drama lover who was thrilled. "You selling it?" "If she doesn't show." "My nephew Flip's car got me in?" "March." "Fine, but if this hits Judge Judy, I want a shout-out." Sarah's next video, polished with music and zooms, ended with me slapping a for sale sign on the barn. "You snooze, you lose." It hit 3 million views in hours. Then Tesla's legal team emailed no subject, just a header, Tesla North America legal DVY shown. They'd seen the video, knew the car was a lease Lisa hadn't paid, and wanted it back quietly. She disabled tracking, and now it was viral, parked in my barn next to hay and a sarcastic farmer. They weren't thrilled. "Cooperate in retrieval," they wrote, and refrain from sales until ownership's clear. I told Sarah, "We just poked $1 billion giant." She grinned. "Cool. Let's poke the other eye." 2 days later, a glossy black SUV rolled up, disgorging 3 soot clipboards, business cards, and fake smiles. The leader, Miles, a regional recovery coordinator, spoke like a robot with a law degree. "We'd like this resolved quietly, Mr. Dalton." "Same here," I said, "but I didn't park it between hay bales." He forced a chuckle. "We'd prefer no auction." "You mean the one I'm planning?" His jaw twitched. "They offered DULA $15,000 to release the Tesla and scrub the internet of it." 15 grand to erase this? A goodwill gesture. I handed it back. "I'm protecting my barn." They pressed harder legality of holding a leased car. I countered legality of trespassing. Sarah yelled from the porch, "Hey, Tesla guy, Lisa tried breaking in last night." Miles froze. "What?" We showed the footage. Lisa in a hoodie, fumbling with the lock, trying to start the car, disabled by Mike, then fleeing when the motion light blazed. "Attempted theft," Miles muttered. "No kidding," I said. Next video. That night, Sheriff Diane returned, exhausted. Lisa claimed I'd tampered with her car and was running a scam auction. Diane dismissed most of it but warned, "This is spiraling. Tesla's emailing me, the mayor's calling, some New York show wants in." "End it." "I'm trying," I said. "They want quiet, she wants it back. I want my barn." "Mediation?" "I'd rather wrestle a bear." Next day, Lisa brought her ex, Paul, a slick city type claiming the lease was his. She screamed he was a control freak. He said she stole it. Miles mediated like a hostage negotiator while Sarah filmed. Diane banged her truck hood, yelling, "Settle this in 24 hours, or I impound it for public nuisance." Later, Sarah dropped a bombshell. An LA guy offered Dula $76,000 to buy the Tesla for an art piece, donating half to charity via a live-streamed auction. Art on a pedestal property is not optional. I laughed till my ribs hurt. Auction day was chaos. Chairs, rows, Mike's duct-taped mic, Sarah's AV buddy in sunglasses. Diane policed the gate. Tesla reps hovered, resigned, letting it proceed as symbolic reclamation. Lisa arrived late, theatrical in a hat and scarf, demanding a halt. "My car. You parked it in my barn," I said. The crowd backed. Mesamion yelled, "Free the barn." Bidding soared. Dula 10,000, Dula 22,000, Dula 70,000. At Dula 76,000, the LA guy won, wiring cash instantly. The Tesla became unclaimed power, half funding a school roof. Lisa's last stunt, then cuffing herself to the mic, ended in a funnel cake faceplant, snapped by Sarah. By dusk, the Tesla was towed off, the barn mine again. Diane handed me pie. Missed the drama? Not a bit. Sarah grinned. 10 million VYUs, trending the barn justice. I sat by the barn under the stars, breathing free. It wasn't just a carrot, it was about standing firm, dignity intact, hay bales and all. I didn't win a war. I kept my peace, my way. And the world watched.